Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the most common question of them all. So how long does it take to get Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu blue belt? So whether you're just starting out or you're in the middle of it, I'll go into in a little detail and you can determine how long do you think you'll probably get your Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu blue. It should be pretty accurate. And there's many reasons why you can get it faster or slower, so I'll go into that. Because I was you, I was there, I would think, how much longer now? Like 1 year later, and then another year later, how much longer, right? So I'll answer that question now and shed some light as to reasons why you're taking so long or why you're probably going to get it pretty quickly. So Jiu-Jitsu is known for its very intensive, time-intensive belt system. It's probably longer than any other martial art. On average, I'd say it takes around 1.5 years to 3 years to get your blue belt. Sometimes it could take a little longer, sometimes it's pretty fast actually. And there's certain people that may take maybe up to 10 years to get their blue belt. I've known and heard of some people that have. And those are very rare cases though. But if you're consistent in class, it should only take you 1.5 to 3 years. So consistency is key, so keep that in mind. There are really three main points that determine how long it takes for you to get your blue belt, whether it takes a short time to get it or a longer time to get it. So those three main points are training consistency, skill development, and your coach's criteria. It's really just those three. So training consistency, let's talk about that. The more you train, the faster you progress. It's really that simple. If you can commit to training consistently and show up and your instructor sees that, you're gonna progress pretty fast. Unless, there's sometimes some instructors just hold people back for whatever reason. But for the most part, most instructors, if you're showing up consistently, they're gonna see it. They're probably gonna progress you faster towards your blue belt. Some gyms, they actually track your attendance, whether you're actually showing up or not, and they can tell when you're not consistent. Because that's the biggest factor really, is consistency. If you're not committing to the sport, it's gonna be hard. They're not gonna award you your blue belt. It's gonna be a little longer. Eventually you'll get it even if you're inconsistent, but you will have to wait a little longer if you are inconsistent. But be consistent. Be consistent and you will get your blue belt really fast. You'll be closer to the 1.5 year range, which I was showing up maybe around 4 to 5 times a week for a good like the first 2 years. I was showing up a lot, and then I slowed down a bit, down to 3 to 4, and then picked it back up to 4 to 5 to get my purple belt. So really you just have to ramp up your consistency and go at class attendance. And also remember, it's not even just showing up. Yes, you can show up and sit in the sideline, but quality matters, so you do need to learn the stuff you are being taught in class. The instructor will see your progress, whether you're understanding it or not. If you're coming to class 4 or 5 times a week and you're still not really getting it, I'll have to break it to you, it might take a little longer for you. But for the most part, if you are going to class, you should be learning a lot faster than the average student, and you should be able to get it within the 1.5 year, 2 year range. So here's a little twist to my story. I was one straight white belt and I quit. I was only in it for like 3 to 4 months, and sometimes life just happens, and I quit for I think 12 to 14 years, somewhere between there now. I can't, it's a long time ago, and it's for mainly costly. I was young, it was too much money, I got injured, I had a staph infection, had to heal from that, and I had a career and school to really focus on, so that really took me out of jiu-jitsu for a long time. But you just have to come back, and that's all that really matters. Trust me, it's worth it. Just take your time. Jiu-jitsu's there when you need it. So reality is, I was a 14, 15 year white belt. So if I can do it, you can do it. And I'm glad I came back. So next up on the list is skill development. It's no brainer, right? If you don't have the skills to really match up to be the quality of a blue belt, you're probably not it's gonna take you a little longer to get the blue belt. There is that saying that you just have to show up, eventually get that blue belt. Yes, that's true to a degree, but you still also have to be able to develop some level of skill to be able to defend yourself, to really match up to like a pretty good white belt. It's really hard to tell the difference between a really good white belt and a brand new blue belt, but you still need a level of proficiency in skill. At that level, at the late stage white belt phase, you're expected to have at least a decent grasp of the basics and foundational techniques, like really like at least maybe 2 techniques per position, right? 2 techniques in the mount, two techniques in a closed guard, 2 techniques north-south. If you have around 2 techniques per position, you're about there. And I mean, when I mean you have 2 techniques, you have a general grasp of how to perform those techniques consistently and through training and sparring. It may not be perfect, it may be ugly, but at least you know how to perform them and execute them with decent proficiency, right? You only start mastering them later in purple belt and beyond. At blue belt, you'll be honing those skills still. So really it's about being confident, not perfect, and just keep in mind that every gym has a little bit of different criteria. Some gyms have a curriculum and making sure that you actually know the techniques, or you have a gym where it's based on really using the skill that you've been learning in class and applying it in sparring and over consistency, and your instructor sees that you're good at performing those skills just based on skill. They'd wear your blue belt. So some is based on curriculum, some is based on skill, some is based on both, right? And time, of course. So you may want to ask your coach on what he's expecting of you. Remember, don't ask for your blue belt. That's only going to set you back another year. And also, for the blue belt, you're really just trying to understand the basics of jiu-jitsu. It's not really about the technique. It's about, do you understand leverage, frames, why you're framing, where you're pinning them, the timing and control points, right? Things like that, really basic things. So that's where in the white belt phase where you develop all of that, how to control somebody else through using basic fundamental jiu-jitsu. So your instructor is going to look for students that have good mat awareness and a really solid defense. You may not have a good offense. He's looking for at least basic understanding of jiu-jitsu. Can you survive? And can you handle someone that's bigger than you? Here's another measure. If a white belt or someone brand new comes into the gym and you can do anything you want to them, you're basically a blue belt. If you can handle someone who's untrained in jiu-jitsu and completely dominate them, you are a blue belt in the old standards. Today it's a little harder. Today the average blue belt today is like a brown belt, right? But to me, if you can handle someone off the street easily, you're already at the blue belt level. You just need to put in the time. Here's the other thing too. I know plenty of blue belts that are not really good offensively, that can't pull off techniques, but they know how to survive. Like, I'm a purple belt and sometimes I have a hard time submitting them. They just know how to just survive. They know where the attacks are coming from. They just keep defending. Sometimes they even defend my second attack that I'm layering on top of the first attack. So that's how you know someone is at that blue belt level. They understand the basics overall and they know what's happening around their body. They know what jiu-jitsu is being applied to them. And a lot of time they're not good enough yet to be able to defend them. They know what's going on, but they can't stop it. So that's the blue belt level. Purple belt is where you know what's happening, it's a little sloppy, you can defend it, but you're still not there yet. So let's talk about the final point. This one is also really important. This is the coach's criteria. So this is the gym that you chose. So you need to follow his or her criteria in order to get that blue belt. Some gyms award blue belts based on time and attendance alone, some based off skill. You have to actually show it in sparring. And some it's both, like what I said earlier, it's both. So you may want to have a conversation with your coach and just ask him straight up, what is your criteria to achieving your blue belt, and work towards it. You may want to have a check-in with them every now and then to see what your progress is. And if you're receiving your stripes, you know you're getting there. You're on the right path. Really, the bottom line is the coach decides when you're ready. He may ask you to perform a formal test, or he just will simply hand you the belt because he thinks you're ready. Or he just waits for an award ceremony where he awards everybody that he or she thinks is ready. So don't be afraid to ask. So before I wrap this up, I'm gonna talk about a few myths, just so that I can get that out of the way and that you're training safely, not injuring people and doing something stupid just for the blue belt. I mean, everybody wants the blue belt. When you get your blue belt, you feel like the man, like you're the person. You really are, because everybody's gonna be targeting you. You've got a target on your back, even for the purple belts. Those purple belts will be coming after you. Won't be taking easy on you anymore. The training wheels come off. So, first myth, you need to beat blue belts to become one. This is not true. The instructor is really looking at you and your progress. So if you've always been beating blue belts off the bat, maybe you are a blue belt because you have a black belt in judo, etc. But really, your instructor is looking at your progress, whether you're actually progressing, like whether you're learning the techniques that he's teaching, and you're really understanding the fundamentals of jiu-jitsu, rather than just spazzing out and just choke holding people with a random wrestling choke that's made up and you're just beating them with size. That's not how you get your blue belt. You have to actually learn the technique and progress. If you apply proper technique and beat these blue belts and your instructor sees it, then yeah, probably you're gonna progress to the blue belt. But you beating blue belts does not mean you're going to get that blue belt. So you need to get that out of your head. You're not competing against them, you're competing against yourself. So you need to look at yourself and how you've progressed since the last month, the last week, or the last year. Myth 2, everyone gets it in around 2 years. That's not true. Everyone has their own journey. Some people I know someone that took probably 5-6 years to get his blue belt. And he was training. He wasn't like me where it took some time off. He was actually training. And that's because he simply just didn't understand the techniques, and it was hard for him. He just took a month, 2 off, go back, take a month or 2 off, and then after a year or 2, he'll get earn a stripe. They'll wash off, he'll get that 1 stripe back, and the instructor is just not gonna award his blue belt. He just simply can't demonstrate any of the technique. And I'm surprised he came back and he eventually got it, so good for him. I would have given up. It's a long time. So really, it just depends on you. So if you can take it home, study, get the technique down, get it right, come consistently, you may get it in 2 years, you may get it in 1.5 years. So not everyone gets it in 2 years. It's completely individual based. Your instructor will determine when you're ready. And if you take a break, like I did, don't be discouraged. Like when you come back, just really change your mindset. You can get it, you can do it. It might actually give you a new appreciation for jiu-jitsu, just having that time off. So there you have it. It's about 1.5 years to 3 years to get your blue belt. May take longer, may take less. It's depending on individual factors like taking a long break or something happening in your life, or you're just not picking up the skills as fast as you want to, or you're just not consistent like you should be. Just remember, the journey is the reward. The journey is beautiful, but try not to sour it by constantly chasing that belt. Just savor this moment. You won't be a white belt forever. And you learn a lot of things in white belt. You make a lot of friends, camaraderies, people come and go, and it's the journey. So savor it. You will grow as a human being in that white belt phase. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button and please subscribe. So let me know in the comments how long it took for you to get your blue belt. Or if you're white belt, what's your biggest challenge so far? And I'm always taking advice on what video to tackle next, so leave a suggestion in the comment and I may actually make that video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.